Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and thank you ever so much for coming to my channel and enjoying my videos and content. I sure do appreciate it. So we're looking at the 22 gallon, give or take. I don't know the exact measurement. It's the ADA tall version of their 20 gallon, which adds a couple gallons. It's a little bit more of an unusual shape. Tall is trending in terms of the aquarium hobby, and I guess I was in front of that to some extent. Whatever, right? But I am so happy I have this tank because those stems in the back are already at the top, and I've trimmed them 4 or 5 times incrementally, not all at once. But here we go again, right? So I was talking in an earlier video about my reticence at trimming plants because there's something melancholy about snipping them off right when they're going great guns. I've had this problem since day one. I mean, when I was a gardener, a terrestrial gardener, I hated like hell when my wife would want us to cut some flowers. I just wanted them all to be out there, but I knew the importance of doing it, not just for pleasing my wife, but for helping the plant in the long run. And we're looking at a number of scenarios in this tank where that phenomenon will play itself out. So I have this beautiful stem here. The name escapes me right now. I think just the Ludwigia repens. I'm not sure which variety. Clearly it could be the red SP. I could be dead wrong about that. I know it's either Ludwigia or Rotala. And at the very top, as is their habit, deep crimson. But even the whole plant, because of strong lighting and solid CO2 reinforcement, you're going to get reds for sure. But this plant, it simply needs to be cut. It's starting to fall into the center. I like the effect now, but any day that could be a overhang or a droop. So I need to snip it, and I'll do that about 6 inches down. I'll find a nice place in between leaves where there's plenty of stem, probably above those 2 little nodes there, and snip. And then my options are to just push it back behind its brethren there, or move it to another tank. That's basically the 2 options. Throwing a plant out like that is just not in the cards. I can't imagine doing that, even though not all aquascapes can just take a big fat stem plant like that. I'll find a way. Nature finds a way. Well, Stefan will find a way. And when I snip it, as is the case with most stem plants, 2 new stalks will emerge from the cut point, which is a blessing and a curse. It depends on where you're at with your tank and where the plant's situated. It's a little funky seeing the pitchfork effect coming off of stems, in my opinion. It foretells or tells everyone who's looking at it that you just cut that plant. But in the event, detail, detail, detail. I'm going to have to cut that one, and then probably the heads on those 2 there. Beautiful plant. And then I've been doing constant micro trimming, if you will, of the Hygrophila pinnata. God, I gotta remember how to say that right, especially since it's my favorite plant. These 2 Blixas, which I bought, they were half the size. I got them at Ocean Design Aquarium here in Chicago. They're getting really, really big. For them, that's big right there, what you're looking at, a fist size. And what's likely going to happen, and what is unfortunate about this plant, is when they get top full like that, they have a tendency to literally float right up to the top. The root structure is like a spear with tiny nodes coming out of it, and substrate just can't hold it as they get bigger and bigger. You'd think top heavy, but they're not heavy. It's buoyant and they rise. To avoid that happening, most people just pull the plant out and carefully split it with their hands, because there's ultimately perhaps up to 4 viable plants in that one bunch if I break them apart. Not unlike a cryptocorn or other plants. But again, I like the effect. It's right at the edge of being too big, but I just don't want to cut and prune until it's absolutely necessary. Here's what I did with a Hygrophila coriambosa, that stem that's sitting in this little planter here. That's a fast-growing common Hygrophila. They get really, really big. I have to cut the top. If the top goes out of water, it will flower and the plant dies soon after. So for that particular plant, you do need to trim. But I had no other aquascape where that would work, so I just put it in this planter until further notice. It's kind of a neat little thing. You can find them on Amazon. People use them for this, for feeding shrimp, other things. It's kind of a nifty gadget, sort of a tchotchke in a way, but it doesn't seem to screw up the aesthetic, at least in my opinion. Yet I'll have to have a plan for that plant, because it's going to grow there and then even be more ungainly. Surrounding it, I put some cuttings of that Hygrophila, and those are looking great. I've been using those in a new project, which I'll be talking about soon. Again, my favorite plant. You see how it comes off here vertically, or horizontally, and how it will grow straight up horizontally. So it's kind of like an epiphyte with a rhizome. It's kind of like a stem plant with a stem. It has leaves that are gorgeous, but it also can grow like a dwarf sage or some sort of ground cover, sending runners. It's so versatile and beautiful. You gotta find that plant and add it to your tank. The beginningest beginner will have success with that plant. It requires nothing to survive and very little much more to thrive. And under the conditions I'm giving it, it's going nuts. But that's the whole idea, right? I love this tank. It's worked out so well for me. I haven't even talked about these gorgeous fish. I call them my Art Deco jewels. They're clumsily named lamb chop rasboras, colloquially, SB rasbora, more scientific. But they're prettier than the Harlequin rasbora, in my opinion, and they're smaller, so that's always good for nano tanks. And what I mean by prettier is that coppery sheen is twice, if not 3 times more alluring than on its cousin, the Harlequin rasbora. Just my opinion, not looking for a fight. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this serenade through my 20-some gallon highly planted tank. As always, folks, keep your hands in your tank. I've spent the whole day doing just that. And I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.